Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm Josh Guesman along with Wendy Thomas, and on today's show we're going to recap the 1-1 draw that ended a disastrous week for the LA Galaxy. But did we see some promising signs from this team? We'll discuss that and more with your calls and all the reactions and hot takes we can possibly muster. And it's another big East Coast versus West Coast matchup as the Galaxy travel to New York City to play at Yankee Stadium's teeny little itsy-bitsy field. And in this case, it's not some manufactured big game. New York City FC is tops in the Eastern Conference and is among the league leaders in offense. We've got a great show, and we're glad that you decided to join us. Corner of the Galaxy starts right now.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Now here are your hosts, Josh Guesman and Wendy Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun edition of Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Josh Guesman, Miss Wendy Thomas with you once again. Glad to actually have a little bit breathing room between games this time. That's always nice. 3 games, 7 days, almost killed me. Wendy, I didn't know if there was such a thing as too much soccer, and I think 3 home games in 7 days might be too much soccer.
It was a lot of soccer.
It wasn't too much.
I think that the LA Galaxy suffered from having a little too much soccer. It was not to our benefit. It was to our detriment that we had so much soccer.
So much soccer so quickly. I think the only saving grace is that you had 3 games in 7 days and they were all at home, so at least you didn't have travel stuff you had to deal with as well. But, I mean, if I'm going to be the first one to say it, and I know that I think you'll say it too. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but it was not a good week for the Galaxy when you go back and you look at New York Red Bulls, have to keep them separate. New York Red Bulls come in, the LA Galaxy draw, score 2 goals, got lucky in that game to draw. You have FC Dallas getting eliminated from the Cup there. That was not a good game, obviously 5 minutes from going to the final against New England and hosting that final, and they allow FC Dallas to score 2 goals there. Then you go to Colorado, a team that is very good in the Western Conference, just second behind Dallas. I mean, you look at all the teams that the Galaxy have faced, Wendy, and it's not an excuse, but look at New York. The New York Red Bulls are 1 and 2 at the top of the Eastern Conference. You had FC Dallas, which is first in the Western Conference. You had Colorado, which is second in the Western Conference. I mean, the Galaxy did go through a gauntlet in three games.
Well, I don't know if you can really compare Eastern Conference and Western Conference
Agreed.
teams. I mean, we all know the battle of the conferences that, if MLS ever decides to go pro-rel, you can't just make that lower division the Eastern Conference,
right.
Make Western Division the first, top conference. That's one possible way of implementing promotion relegation in MLS. It's true, though, we did have games against the New York Red Bulls, and then we have another game against New York next week. But Colorado, New York Red Bulls, and the Dallas game, it was all a very tough week and a very bitter pill to swallow for LA Galaxy fans who attended all 3 games like myself. And honestly, it was extremely frustrating. At times I was really angry.
Yes.
And, at times I was scared. There was injuries. There was a lot. There was the New York Red Bulls game, I'll have to say, it was actually highly entertaining.
Yes.
I did not find the Dallas game or Colorado game to be nearly so enjoyable.
I can understand that. Listen, the Red Bulls game was entertaining. If it was
It's
also
a wild game.
It was heart-stopping as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's just crazy.
You can't have that game every week. We'd go into cardiac arrest. But no, I mean, I agree with you. I think that if you're looking at this, and again, I'm disappointed that whenever you saw the lineup against New York, this first New York game, I hate that we have to separate them now because we're going to talk about New York City
the
coming
Red Bulls
up.
and New York City.
So Red Bulls. So the game against Red Bulls, I was okay with the lineup if you were going to turn that same lineup against FC Dallas. and put that same lineup out there against, basically a first-team FC Dallas lineup, I was going to be fine with that. But then when you didn't do that, then I was expecting you to win the first New York game and the Colorado game, because if you're going to do that way, then you're obviously saying that U.S. Open Cup isn't your priority, and if that's the case, then you better win both your league games. And so seeing all of that having happened and all the things that changed around, the Colorado game was a letdown just because the Galaxy needed 3 points there. And
I know, it was a 6-point swing game.
Yeah, and you could have been 1 point behind Colorado and been pressing for that supporter shield right behind FC Dallas. You're right on top of Colorado. As it was, nobody really pulled away and nothing really happened. But this was a game that the LA Galaxy should have won, and they had the lineup out there, minus Robbie Keane. Remember, Robbie Keane picked up an orbital fracture in that New York Red Bulls game whenever he ran head first, basically, or not. It was feet first, but his head hit Luis Robles, and that ended up breaking the orbital bone around his eye, and he was close to coming back for this Colorado game. But Bruce said, and you'll hear some post-game audio for him, that he just missed the concussion protocol cutoff by a day. So basically, there's a set time limit after you had a possible concussion that you have to sit out and not play. And because of that, Robbie Keane was not able to play. Otherwise, he would have played. That's what Bruce basically said. He didn't say he had a concussion either, Wendy. So,
yeah, I mean, you can look at this like two different ways. One is looking at the results. The results themselves were fairly miserable, taking 2 points out of 6 from 2 league games and getting eliminated in the semifinals of the Open Cup. That's a bad week any way you slice it.
yes.
On the other hand, you could look at it as, what did we learn from these games? For me, unfortunately, what I learned is that maybe the Galaxy front office isn't paying attention and learning from the past, because in all 3 games, I saw similar patterns in terms of problems that were arising. In all 3 games, I felt like there was a distinct lack of finishing. We were
Yes.
creating chances and no one was finishing them. And when that happens in 1 game, it's unfortunate. When it happens in 2 games, then you have to start laying some blame at the feet of the people who are organizing it, because you realize that there has to be a reason why we create chances but don't finish them.
Yeah.
And is it the responsibility of the players? In some part, it has to be, but it also has to be the responsibility of the front office who recruited these players, signed them, and then now isn't putting them in a formation that's yielding positive results.
Well, I mean, but the bottom line is they're getting there, Wendy. They're on the doorstep. I mean, Jossie Zardes should have finished shot. Alan Gordon,
But how
Mike
many
McGee.
games are we going to have this same pattern repeating itself, where we feel like both of us feel like there's so many opportunities where we were this close to finishing out a game and getting 3 points, but then it's just not happening?
No.
How many games before it's not just something that's a terrible coincidence, but it's problematic and emblematic of real systemic issues within the LA Galaxy?
No, I mean, you look at it, and granted, it's 3 games in a row, and we have to point out that the LA Galaxy, have been criticized for not taking enough shots, but whenever they have shot in the past, all the way to this point, the LA Galaxy have been scoring goals whenever they've had chances. So you look at these last 3 games, and they're kind of outliers from how the Galaxy have been finishing, because they've been doing a good job. And we can't criticize all that much, because you have to look at the Galaxy. They're a top 5 offense still, with a top, I think they're tied for first or second in defense.
But nothing about it feels that.
No.
I know technically the LA Galaxy have not lost a league game for the past 9 games. Not since in June when we went to Toronto to play
Yes.
a game, have the Galaxy lost a game. However, it doesn't feel that way. I'm coming out of the StubHub Center feeling much more disappointed, because I keep feeling like we're letting results slip through our fingers. We're just letting games fall away. And I feel like the Galaxy should be much more clinical in terms of its finishing and should be closing out games much better. So although technically we are, on a
9
a
games.
streak of
Yep.
9 games without a loss, which sounds good.
Right.
It doesn't feel good.
How many wins, without looking, how many wins and how many draws in 9 games do the LA Galaxy have?
5. I think it's 5 draws and 4 wins.
That is correct. Okay, so and in those 9 games, they've scored 11 goals and allowed 6, so they're a +5 in goal differential, right? And during that 9-game unbeaten streak, by the way, they haven't scored or allowed more than 2 goals. So they haven't scored more than 2 goals, they haven't allowed more than 2 goals, and 8 of those 9 games they were outshot as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's no. I mean, that's something that we were talking about over a month ago. You and
Yes.
I were talking about the fact that other teams are just taking way more shots, and part of it maybe is overeager teams in MLS or young strikers in MLS taking a lot of shots in other teams, whereas we have much more older, more seasoned players. And I was saying, well, maybe it's a reflects prudence on the part of a veteran team that they circulate the ball and are very careful about and clinical about where they take the chances. On the other hand, you could just say, no one is biting the bullet, and that's not good either.
No, you don't want either of those. Listen, I think you're happy with this particular offense when they're winning and they're scoring goals and they're doing, even those scores, like I said, they were like 2-0, 1-0, 2-1, 1. There was no blowouts here. There was no offensive clicking, and really we haven't seen the offense click for quite a long time. The last time the offense really clicked, Robbie Keane wasn't on the field. I actually had hopes of this team showing us something offensively without Robbie Keane, because you were able to put Giovanni Dos Santos sort of in his more natural position as the withdrawn striker, as the number 10. Jossy Zardes played up in front of him, and you had support. And I loved the support in this Colorado game with Leggett and Boateng on either side. And there was a lot of criticism of Raul Mendiola not starting this game after what he's been able to do.
I know. I was rooting for him to get. I mean, I was happy with the starting lineup because I agreed. I thought it would be interesting to see Giovanni playing that position, since I know that in the Houston game he did a very good job in that position. That was the last time I can really remember being impressed, when we played Houston away with the LA Galaxy's offense. But given how Raul Mendiola was so creative in that game against Dallas, I would have loved to see him start this game. It's unfortunate. I thought maybe you could have moved out Emma Boateng or and put Raul in there, since Raul can play on the wing.
Well, it was a good, in this particular case, it was actually probably pretty good. Boateng had one heck of a game.
He had a really good game, but I mean, I was just thinking it would be nice if Mendiola would be rewarded.
I would have liked to seen Mendiola at least come off the bench. I think that would have been a good like-for-like switch, and you don't lose a lot whenever Boateng hits the wall, because he did so much running in this game. You knew he wasn't going to make it 90 minutes, and you shouldn't expect the midfielders on the wing to make it 90 minutes all the time anyway.
So what was it in this game? I mean, I observed that, a real lack of finishing. You tell me, what happened? Why didn't the offense do more? What happened?
I really think, and honestly, it's exactly as you said. It's just a lack of finishing. They created a ton of chances here.
Why are we not finishing?
You don't want to say unlucky.
I mean, Giovanni Dos Santos, from what I can tell, loves to dribble.
He does.
He loves to dribble. He doesn't like being touched that much.
Right.
And he doesn't necessarily take a lot of shots. He loves dribbling.
Well, look,
the game was focused on dribbling.
Look at his premier goal that everybody sort of points to. It's
Tim Howard goal.
Yep, the Tim Howard goal, right? And that was, people were playing that replay before this game. Obviously, Tim Howard lining up on the other side for Colorado. Now, Tim Howard had one heck of a game as well. I don't want to discount that, but I also want to say that of some of these chances, they should have been finished. So if you look at Giovanni Dos Santos and his Tim Howard goal, the one where he dribbles around the box around the U.S. Defenders, and he fakes out 3, 4, 5 guys. And then he chips the ball over into the back post. That's what he likes to do. So that is his style, and I agree. But he took a shot here. Tim Howard stopped one of his good shots, tipped the ball around the post. That was another good save that Howard made. I
think Tim Howard's saves were by and large saves that you would expect. Some of them, maybe a few of them, were noteworthy, but otherwise I thought he was just doing what a goalkeeper is supposed to do. Another thing that I thought is that Zardes looked a little bit off.
Do you know why?
I did notice at one point he went down with some sort of injury, and for the rest of the game when he stood up, I felt like he was off a little bit.
So I talked to Giossi after the game. Giossi is wearing a special brace/cast on his chest, so that way he can't hurt that muscle. Remember, he had a muscle tear or
like
something.
a chest strain.
Yeah, a chest strain of some sort. So he's wearing a special cast. He said he felt like he could do everything that he needed to do, but you could tell just the fact that he was even talking about it means that he was thinking about it, right? So there is something there, and that's supposed to immobilize that muscle so that way he doesn't hurt it and it doesn't hurt. So I mean, it's good, and I give him a couple games to sort of get used to playing with that, I think. And
how long does he have to play with it?
I don't know. That'll be a good question, and something that we can certainly ask whenever they come back home and play against Vancouver. I can at least try to talk to him and see if he's still wearing it or how it's going, if that particular topic comes up, we can find out. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. So I think you're right to point at Zardes. He was a little off. I thought.
Well, I don't want to point at him. I mean, I felt bad because I could see at one point he grimaced and he put his head down. And if you can tell sometimes when a player is dealing with pain,
right?
And it's especially disconcerting when you see it coming from Giassi Zardes, who, whatever anyone wants to say about his technique or whatever, finishing first touch, he is physically extremely fit and has, I mean, basically injury proof from the first 3 years that I've watched him. I mean, he runs for 90 minutes and then some.
Yeah, no, he's absolute workhorse, and that's what the Galaxy were missing whenever he wasn't playing too. So I mean, it was good. Listen, I mean, just looking at the highlights, 11th minute, Boateng to Gerrard to Giassi. Tim Howard makes a great save with his trailing hand. Giassi got it past him, just didn't get past the trailing hand that was coming back. It was a good save. I would have liked Giassi to finish that. That's one I think he should have finished, and that was in the 11th minute. The Galaxy score that, it's 1-0. That's good. 26th minute. Free kick from Gerrard hits Van Dam. Van Dam flicks it from the near post all the way across the goal, and it hits the bar and doesn't go in. Yellow Van Dam is the most unluckiest person on the LA Galaxy right now. He is the Juninho of 2014, where Juninho didn't score all year, hit the post, couldn't find a goal, but then scored in the playoffs. So I'm feeling really good about Yellow Van Dam in the playoffs. He's gonna be a goal scoring machine, and he's frustrated by it too.
I love that guy. He is
so much fun.
He's really enjoyable to watch him play. As someone who appreciates, especially if you appreciate good defending, he really delivers a lot of really good defending. He's so smart.
And dangerous on set pieces, both defensively and offensively. That's what you want from the guy. The big guy, he's a good target. I mean, just getting unlucky, and the fact that the ball falls to Leggett and he tries to make a reaction and it ends up going over the bar when he's like 2 yards away from the goal line. It's like, just so unlucky. 45th minute, Dos Santos' shot is tipped around the goal. That was the one I was talking about, Tim Howard. It was a good save, full extension by Howard. Boateng, 61st minute, dribbling all the way down. This was the highlight of the game, by the way. Boateng.
I love that. The whole crowd freaked out when he did that.
It was electric. It was great. He starts on just inside his own half. He ends up dribbling, I don't know, almost 45 yards probably before he's able to go through 3 defenders. He beat one of them twice. Took a shot on Tim Howard. Tim Howard made a save. I mean, that was
a completely unimpressive save. I mean, that's the thing that I've realized with these breakaways by Boateng is that he does a breakaway and he sprints down the field, and you know that once he has the ball, no one's catching him.
Right.
He's flying down the field, but then he gets down to the other end of the field and there's no one around him, and he's really honestly not that good at he's finishing off the goal for himself.
The speedy guys usually rely on their speed for most of that skill. He's got to learn that skill. But he played well, so that was good. But just that one play allowed the LA Galaxy to get the corner kick that Daniel Steres heads in. So that was a good chance. It actually got converted, so that was good. This is the one that hurts though. The Zardes to Gio to Leggett with the back heel inside the box to AJ De La Garza. AJ cuts back in on his left foot. He makes a fake, he makes a cut, and there were lots of people in front of him. People were like, "Hey, shoot the ball earlier." I agree, but it was crowded in there. He finds a little bit of space, and then with his off foot, left foot misses the goal completely. But that's why he plays defense. Wendy, you can't really blame a defender.
I know. That one would have been nice, though.
You want it to go in. You want AJ to do good there. You want that to convert, but you can't yell at a defender. I mean, he's a defender. If he was really good at finishing, he wouldn't be a defender, right? I mean,
I know. But again, like AJ, for example, he was playing a little bit out of position too, because he was playing down the flank a lot of the game. Like he, essentially is supposed to be playing as a right back, and yet every time that I looked down, he was playing. He was basically next to me.
Yeah.
And I was in the final third on the other end. Like he's advancing so far up the field.
Well,
he's basically playing a little bit like a winger.
Well, it talks a lot about what Colorado does, which is sit back and they work on the counter and they invite the Galaxy forward. And this is the one. Hey, listen, for all the people who are complaining the LA Galaxy didn't shoot, the Galaxy had 17 shots, 6 on goal. They outshot Colorado. So 17-12, they outshot them 6-2 on goal. This was, again, this was the thing. I said afterwards, I went in and we talked to Bruce Arena. I'm going to play some Bruce Arena audio here in just a second as soon as I'm done talking about this. But I felt like Bruce wasn't concerned. He saw this game for what it was, which was they got a little unlucky in this, and they probably should have had 3 points, but they dominated the game. They dominated possession. They dominated shots. It
can't always be luck. How many games is he going to attribute to luck?
He doesn't. And for Bruce's thing, he didn't say he was unlucky. I don't think, and I don't think he believes that. I just think he thinks this is soccer and they played well. He could see games where they didn't play well. He didn't like the Red Bulls game. He liked the comeback, right? But he didn't like how the Galaxy played. This was a game that was, outside of the 51st minute goal that Gashi scores from, which, by the way, great take by Gashi, and, a little lazy by the LA Galaxy defenders. They should have stepped up and they shouldn't have allowed the shot. But first shot, left-footed, Brian Rowe stood and watched it because that's all you could do. And it's 1-0. I mean, they really didn't have, they had 2 shots on target the whole night. One of them was a goal. That was it.
In a way, it's very counterintuitive to me that you are saying that Bruce was happy with the performance, despite the fact that the result wasn't good. Because isn't he the one who only in the past few weeks has been saying that analytics are bunk and that the only result that matters is the score? That's the only analytic anyone should care about. If that's the only analytic anyone should care about, then why doesn't he care about it? Why does he care about?
He does, but that's the thing. He goes, everything happened. He goes, it was a 1-1 game. Here, we're going to play some Bruce. So let's do...
Okay, let's hear. I want to hear. I love listening to Bruce.
All right, so Bruce had some fun here. So let's do the first one. This was, I asked him a question about Emma Boateng, and fortunately for me, he talked about the whole game. So here's Bruce Arena.
He played well. I think our entire team had a good night tonight. Story of the game, we didn't finish our chances. It's a game we could have scored.
There we go, Wendy. See, he says he didn't finish chances. All right, we'll continue on. Here we go.
Certainly 2 goals, maybe 3 or 4. I think, we played well. I think Tim Howard came up with a few big saves, especially the one early on Giassi. Then the chance we had with AJ, you'd like to think we can get it on the goal, but we created some chances. I'm not sure how many they had, but they certainly buried the one they had. Give them credit for that. We just got to finish off those chances because the game, a team like Colorado, they're a very good defensive team. They defend with 8, 9, 10 players the entire game. They're not easy to break down, so when you get a chance, you got to finish it off. And certainly falling behind to that team is certainly not a formula for winning. So I give our guys credit getting the goal and certainly pushing to get the second goal. But I think, for me, on the night, we played well. We're at fault for not finishing our chances, and that's that.
All right, so there's Bruce. So you can sort of see what I took away from that. You can hear how Bruce talked about it. Again, he's with us. Didn't finish chances.
Yeah. I guess he just takes some solace from the idea that the very fact we're creating chances demonstrates that we could get more positive results if we get a little bit more luck.
Right.
But from my perspective, there's only so many games where you can see the same pattern before, realizing that this is a symptom of and something that ails the LA Galaxy.
Yeah. And I think you have to keep looking at it. All right, here we go. More Bruce on if the LA Galaxy feel unlucky and statistics. See, so this is it's feeding right into it. I know. Here we go.
Thematically, I'm just weaving this in and out.
And you don't even know it's coming up. So this is good stuff. All right, here we go.
We're maybe an inch away on Yellow's chance in the first half, and Tim made a real good save on Giassi's, I thought. I think maybe AJ gets it off a little quicker or on the frame. It's a goal, but that's soccer, and then. Don't tell me that we had more shots and more possession and all of that garbage. It's 1-1. Just another lesson for you children out there that the score is the only statistic in this game that means anything.
All right, children. There you go. Bruce Arena, again, with his statistics. So, again, Wendy, and by the way, that started with somebody asked, it was Larry Morgan, actually, of LAGalaxy.com, who's been on the show before. He asked Bruce if he felt unlucky. And Bruce said, no, I don't feel unlucky. And then he went on with the rest of it. It's just, he stumbles a little in there, so I cut it out. But he says, no, it wasn't the fact that we weren't unlucky. He's like, here's what happened. And then he went out and sort of laid it out for you. All right. Let's see. Do you want to hear about?
Play the funny one.
Okay, funny one. Okay, so he talks about.
I tweeted this because I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, so he talks about Robbie Keane and his protocol of having to go through concussions. I sort of explained that to you. Bruce says he doesn't understand it that well, and he also says that he shouldn't have to understand it because he doesn't get the decision and the player doesn't get the decision that the protocol is what it is. LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano asked Bruce if Brian Rowe would have to go through the same protocol as Keane, and this is what Bruce said.
I don't know. I have a Bachelor of Science. That doesn't qualify me for a whole lot.
Don't they tell you the rules about if a player has to go through a particular protocol or whatever?
Yeah, they do. I don't know what the diagnosis is of the player. So how can I answer that? I'm a bit of an idiot, so I wouldn't be able to tell you right now. Even if I knew what the protocol was, I probably didn't do well. I got a D+ in chemistry at Cornell, and biology I took pass-fail and surprisingly passed it. But that's the extent of my understanding of science and medicine. I'm kind of like Larry. Larry's laughing over there. Larry and I were in the same class. Larry was in the class. He was the custodian in the class. He was in the back of the room, but.
There we go. All right, Bruce Arena.
I never tire of listening to that man.
It was fun. I was sitting next to Larry, so it was humorous. We were all having a good time. But yeah, Bruce, I'm a bit of an idiot. And just in case you say, Josh, you do all this wonderful audio stuff, but you really, really need to make sure you capture Bruce saying, I'm a bit of an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
a bit of an idiot, so I wouldn't be able to tell you right now.
There we go.
That's a great drop. You have to keep that.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it on the board here because I'm sure there'll be plenty of times when I'm a bit of an idiot and maybe when you're a bit of an idiot, although not as much as me. And then whenever Bruce is a bit of an idiot, maybe we can use that as well. So I have
Bruce Arena is drier than a gin martini.
Bruce and his humor. LA Galaxy 1-1. You know, this was a game. The big other thing that happened, obviously, Brian Rowe gets injured. 80th minute. Nigel de Jong, Kevin Doyle go in on a cross, basically. A cross comes in from the right-hand side. Brian Rowe goes out for it. De Jong's coming back for it. Doyle's going for it. Doyle should have got a yellow card, by the way, for studs up into Rowe's midsection, but that's not what really hurt him. It was Nigel de Jong's knee. So anytime anybody gives anybody crap about Nigel de Jong hurting everybody else's players, you can now say, well, he hurts our players too. So
I know that was actually kind of scary.
It was very scary.
When I saw Rowe down, I was concerned because I mean it looked he was down for a while. I was tweeting something about the minutes that were going to be added. I feel like he was down for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Yeah, they ended up adding 8 minutes onto the game. Brian Rowe came out. Brian Rowe needed staples in his head from the gash that was on his head.
Awful.
Yeah,
I will say, Angel City Brigade, Galaxians, wonderful. He stood up when he was able to stand up. They all just stood up and started cheering him off the field. It was so sweet.
Yeah, he got clapped all the way around to the locker room as he was going to. So it was good there. I will tell you, I saw Brian Rowe in the locker room after the game. He was sitting in his locker. He was joking. Actually, Yella Van Dam, who got interviewed as well, said something to the effect that let's see, how exactly he's in the middle of his interview. Yella stops and he goes, Brian, it's me, Yella. Like waving to him, right? And Brian goes, what? And he looks at him, he goes, it's me, Yella. And he goes, and he's just waving, and he sort of waves him off, and he's laughing, and Yella's laughing too. It was the whole thing. So you could sort of see he was okay. It certainly looked like he had taken a knock, and that he wasn't going to be out partying that night.
I hope it's not serious.
Yeah, we don't know. We do know that Brian Rowe will miss this game versus New York City FC. I don't have a diagnosis. You could make an assumption that it could be a concussion, which I think would be a perfectly reasonable assumption, but it also could be that he got whacked in the head and he has a big gash and staples on it, and he's not looking forward to playing with that either. So we won't make that assumption. We'll just sort of let it be where it is. We'll find out updates on Brian Rowe as we go forward and as that goes. All right, let's see what else. Oh, we did get one phone call in from my good friend Chris Tucker, who wanted to call in and talk about after the Colorado game. So he left a message on our CoG hotline. Remember, you can always call the CoG hotline number. I would say put it in your phone so that way you could just call it after the show. You don't need me to tell you to call it. If you call it,
because you can leave a message.
You can just leave a message. I'm not going to answer it. You hear my voice, but you guys can figure it out. It's a voicemail. This is not new technology. 949-385-2641. 949-385-2641 is the CoG hotline number. Put it in your phone, save it, call it after games. All right, here is Chris after the LA Galaxy's 1-1 draw with Colorado.
Hey, Guesman, it's Tucker. So this week's done, and that was 3 games all at home, where we took 2 points, were eliminated from the cup in the semifinal, played a weekend team in the middle so that we could supposedly perform on the 2 games on the weekend, and in both games we earned a point after coming from behind. Awesome season. Well, what's more important is we lost our starting goalkeeper, who apparently is a top 5 keeper in the league, so should be great. Talk to you later, buddy. Be well.
There we go. I think that was a jab at me, Wendy. I think the top
he is,
5 was a jab.
Chris Tucker is definitely Team Josh.
I think he's Team Wendy.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, everyone, I think the majority of people are on Team Josh when it comes to Brian Rowe, and I appreciate Brian Rowe. I think he's done a really good job. But Chris is absolutely correct that two points out of 6 when they're both home games is absolutely dreadful.
Ugh. And you know what? After July was so good, Wendy, that it hurts August. All right, it hurt in August. It's hurting so far. Okay, the LA Galaxy basically winless in August, I believe is still correct. Just they haven't lost. I mean, 9-game unbeaten streak. I know.
My stomach.
I know. We got lots more to still talk about. So don't worry. We always end these shows on a positive note, looking forward. All right, so let's try to do that a little bit, and if we can possibly get to some fun stuff in the second half, then we can do that. All right.
Okay.
Let's take a break real quick. Whenever we get back, we have LA Galaxy news and starting to preview New York City FC. All right. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, and we'll be right back. Ready for some more Corner of the Galaxy? Don't forget to head over to the website for all the latest podcasts, news, and more. Visit us online at cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Hey, this is Chris.
This is Eddie.
This is Jason.
And we're from Backlog of Memory, and you're listening to Corner of the Galaxy.
Welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Josh and Wendy back with you once again. All right, we move on. That's it. You gotta throw that Colorado game out. Yeah, we
look forward. Onward and upward.
That's right. That's all.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Okay.
Just as Dickens wrote, we are going to just put our eyes right on the horizon and sail this ship to New York City.
It's to New York City. That sounds like I mean, it would be difficult. I don't want to do New York City because you have to go through the Panama Canal, or it's a long trip, and I don't want to do that.
We will sail on this Delta flight all the way to New York City.
That's a better idea. I like that. All right. Hey, quick reminder to everybody: go to the Corner of the Galaxy store. That's cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop. We have some damn buttons in. All right. So get your damn buttons. Order those, please. Help us out in the shop. Well, as you buy a button, it helps us run this podcast, run the website, do all that stuff. It helps keeps my fiance from yelling at me from spending so much money on the podcast. So that would be nice too. I mean, all these things are positive things. cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop. You can get your damn buttons. All right. And if you're on the live stream, you can see my damn button. Right
and
here.
when you say damn buttons, that is not blaspheming, is it?
No, this is not a swear word. I am not swearing. Therefore, this podcast cannot be marked explicit. There is no swearing going on. Even
Because the dam that you're referring to is?
well, we can't actually say.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But yes.
You'll just have to figure it out, listeners.
Just infer. All right? Just infer. All right, there we
Josh
go.
is implying something, and it's your job to infer it.
Or maybe I'm not implying something, Wendy. I mean, who knows? It's just all up in the copyright stuff. Yeah. I'm glad I have an IP lawyer that I talk to on a regular basis. So that's a good thing. All right. To LA Galaxy team news, I would like to point out that on August 27th versus the Vancouver Whitecaps, this is the next home game for your LA Galaxy. The end of August coming up is Luca Knows Heart Night. All right. And as you know, Luca De La Garza, who was AJ De La Garza's son, passed away in 2014 after complications due to hypoplastic left heart syndrome. This is a cause that is very close to my heart, and I think a lot of LA Galaxy fans, and I do anything I can to support that family and that man, because I think he's an upstanding citizen and just such a wonderful soccer player and a great guy. There's lots of stuff you can do. He has a hat that's out that you can help, and that some of that goes to the Luca Knows Heart Foundation. But what they're going to do on this night is they're going to sell, and all this stuff will benefit Los Angeles Ronald McDonald House through the sale featuring scarves, armbands, T-shirts, and bracelets. All right, so basically you'll be able to go. I think a lot of you have seen the Luca Knows Heart T-shirts, that type of thing. So if you can, on August 27th, I would invite you to please help out Ronald McDonald House through AJ De La Garza and his wonderful family, his wife Megan, their little daughter as well. So this is a great cause, and it's something that's very close to my heart. I don't know how you feel about it, Wendy, but
Oh, well, that AJ De La Garza is maybe my favorite Galaxy player. I mean, now that Landon's gone. I mean, Robbie Keane, I guess, probably is, but AJ is the longest serving LA Galaxy player. And I remember in 2014, that season when Luca passed away, how the team and basically the whole LA Galaxy organization just rallied around him. They made those T-shirts, and it was very moving, I think. And I think that in some ways, the way the team played, the second half of 2014, in some ways, maybe Luca was a little bit of an inspiration for the team that season.
I would say that it was probably a lot of an inspiration. That was a different. I've talked about the different sort of sets between these teams in terms of in 2014 you had the family team, right? And it was just this one big happy family, Wendy, and everybody fought for each other and they bled for each other. It was Landon was going out, and you had this deal with AJ that was going on at the same time. That was a family. They were tight-knit family, and that can be really good and really motivational, and it worked for them in 2014. This team is a competitive family. So they love each other. They're tight-knit. But whenever they get out on the field, in the training field, they just want to beat each other for whatever spot they're competing for. And that's a totally different type of motivation, but also probably a really good motivation as well. So all of those things put together sort of equal this, LA Galaxy team, which is different than other LA Galaxy teams I've covered. I can feel it in the locker room. So I don't know, just
That's good. I mean, you want them to have a good competitive spirit. I mean, they're professional athletes. If they weren't, I mean, isn't that always the knock on MLS? Like why I was so anti Ashley Cole this whole season, because he said he didn't want to go lay on the beach. And I was thinking to myself, well, hey, brah, I mean, maybe we don't want you to come lay at our beach, because there's a knock on MLS that it's, a kiddies league. It's not that difficult, not that competitive. And so it's considered a whatever quasi-retirement team. You want people to rebut that perception by being really competitive and caring and wanting to beat one another, even if it's just in a training field. So I'm glad.
Yeah. So that's just my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. I've talked to a couple different people. I think I'm pretty close on this one. All right, let's go real quickly to the LA Galaxy 2 schedule. LA Galaxy 2 will play at Orange County Blues FC. This is one in the greater Los Angeles / Orange County area that if you wanted to go to, you could. Saturday, August 20th, 7 p.m., Anteater Stadium. Tickets are for sale. You can go there. And the last time the LA Galaxy went down to Orange County, they lost. All right, so this is one of those rematch teams, which they need to do, and they need to beat their rival, which this is a rival on occasion, especially now that Orange County has actually beat them. Now, one good thing for them is that Clement Diop had a ridiculous game against Orange County, OKC Energy FC.
Yeah,
I hate
that's the
that name.
craziest named soccer team in America.
I hate it so much. I can't. Every time I have to say it, I want
OKC Energy. It's
FGFC.
just ridiculous.
Yeah,
They
it was-
should add United to it.
Yeah, they should have. They would have been perfect. Anyway, Diop had 3 monster saves, including a penalty kick. Shout out to Lee Nishanian as well, because that boy got in the goal and headed one off the line as well. Nishanian's
Diop's going to be in New York City.
he will be in New York City probably. Well, we'll talk. We'll see. I would like to see him starting. I don't know if
Got
that's
to
going to
bring
happen.
both a starter and a backup.
You got to have it.
Ew.
Otherwise, you're going to have Mike McGee in there if somebody gets hurt. And that
McGee goes in goal. I'm down.
that was a one-time thing. You never want to do it again. All right. The odds of that working out again, very, very, very slim. The LA Galaxy schedule coming off, obviously, New York City this weekend, traveling to New York City. The team is already there as we're recording on Thursday. They traveled on Thursday. Then we have Wednesday night. So the following Wednesday night, August 24th, they will be at Chicago Fire. So a little road trip, East Coast, Midwest road trip swing here for the LA Galaxy. And then they'll be home August 27th to face the Vancouver Whitecaps. Open up September with Columbus at home. All right, and then they will go on the road at Real Salt Lake. I can't talk. It's just podcasting. I don't need to talk. Who needs-
Speech is so overrated, Josh.
Communication.
Elocution.
That's right. Real Salt Lake away September 7th. September 11th, home to Orlando City. That should be a fun one. And then away Sunday, September 18th to Sporting KC, and then home to host the very last time versus Seattle. Then there are 3 games in October, which we'll get to whenever we're done with August. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves. All right, Wendy. MLS standings. Who surprises you?
We get to see anyone who's a fan of Kaká can see Kaká play.
Whenever they play Orlando. I think it's the first time Orlando's ever been to,
Yes,
Los
it's
Angeles.
the first time that Orlando's played at the StubHub Center.
Yeah.
That's kind of it's nice as a new franchise because last year we went there and got slaughtered, remember?
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. Good,
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Was that Tommy Meyer? That was Tommy Meyer's sort of undoing, wasn't it? I think it was. Every ball that got shot redirected off Tommy Meyer or went through his legs or something. It was the worst game I've ever seen a player have, and it wasn't even his fault towards the end. It was just like, I'm sorry, dude. This is just the way it's going to be. Okay, MLS standings. Who surprises you here?
Well, Colorado this whole season has surprised me.
I think somebody on Twitter said, I refuse to believe the Colorado Rapids are good. And I laughed, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
And New York City FC, remember, who struggled mightily towards the end of last season, towards the beginning of this season, they've really turned it around. So this game on Saturday, we're not going to be playing a terrible team. We're going to be playing a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, like I said in the open, it is a legitimate matchup between, first in the East and one of the top 3s in the West, which is still a matchup. So they're actually tied on points right now, which is always fun and interesting. So you can sort of look at it that way. I mean, I think Toronto has been the really dangerous team here in the last couple of weeks. And
yeah, they went on a hot streak. Giovinco is just
so
ridiculous.
So much fun to watch. So much fun.
He is just ridiculous.
There was a big hubbub, obviously, and I think maybe we created some of it, which is fine with me. I don't really care. We were talking about the best MLS signing ever in Major League Soccer, right?
Well, if Giovinco continues in this form, I mean, this is only his second season. If he continues like this, he's going to have a great argument for it. I mean, obviously, for those of us who have been around for a while, you have to say Landon and Robbie and folks like that.
David Beckham, yeah.
Hey, make the argument because he has been on fire. Lights out, Toronto's best player.
Well, and then it comes into the fact are you going to talk about cups? Because quite honestly, is Giovinco going to win some cups? All right, we have a call. See, this is what happens when people memorize the number. All right, hold on one second. 323, who's this?
Josh, what's going on,
Jose, how's it going, buddy?
Not
Hi,
bad.
Jose.
I just got back. Hey, Wendy. Just got back from the market, so I have no clue what you guys are talking about. But are we in the venting stage of the podcast yet?
No, we're looking forward. We're bright sunshines and bunnies and unicorns right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that Brian Rowe, I mean, he's out. I really hope that, I know you were probably mentioning about Clement Diop having a great game last weekend against Oklahoma City, FC Energy, whatever they're called.
Yes.
But he had a great game, and you know what? He's been one of the, between him and Kennedy, he's the one that's at least been starting USL games, so he's got more games, competitive match experience going into this game. So I'm not sure if he actually traveled with the team. I would think he did, or at least at a minimum be a backup goalie. But let's hope that he actually gets the start because he was actually, very solid even in our U.S. Open Cup run. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm venting because, Wendy keeps saying that Roa is not a top 5 goalkeeper in MLS, and now, now that he's out for who else, I'm not sure. I'm assuming he's going to be out for New York and Chicago, and who else? You never know how long he's going to be out because that was a pretty nasty injury.
Yeah,
so,
no.
You cannot pin that on me, though. I did not send bad karma.
That's all on you, Wendy. You gave him,
it's not.
bad karma.
No, karmically, I'm very pro Brian Rowe. I had nothing to do with Nigel de Jong kneeing him in the head.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah,
I was nowhere. Rewatch the tape. Watch the tape. I was nowhere near it.
All right, Jose, we're going to let you go. Your phone's breaking up. All right, buddy?
All right, see you.
All right, there we go. All right, Jose calling in, as he normally does. If you want to reach out and call us, why not? We can do that, too. I mean, I'm a big boy. I can probably handle it. You can go ahead and reach us out at 949-734-4217. If you're listening live, call us, and we can discuss anything you want to talk about. But we were talking about, Giovinco, and we were talking about Robbie Keane and best signings in Major League Soccer. David Beckham obviously opened the door for everybody. Here's the problem.
What happened? Adam Serrano published an article saying that Robbie Keane is the greatest signing of all time. And and then there was a little bit of debate about it. What I put down on Twitter, which I thought was a nice diplomatic resolution, was clearly Landon Donovan, David Beckham, and Robbie Keane can all collectively be considered as the 3 best signings in MLS history. And they're all the LA Galaxy. So what are we really fighting about, folks?
and they're a little different, too. All right, 909, who's this?
Hey, guys, it's Javi here in Texas.
Javi, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, man.
All right, what do you got?
Well, man, Diop. I'll give you this. Diop had an awesome game.
Right.
He looks great. He looks like Spider-Man back there.
Yes.
But does he make anybody nervous? Just a little bit nervous? Because so one of the great things about Rowe is that he makes excellent decisions when he comes out off his line.
Right.
And his distribution, that's the thing you don't get with Kennedy. It seems like that Kennedy doesn't come off his line as aggressively and as accurately as well. But Diop, he jumps all over his line. He goes back and forth, but it's when he comes off of his line that I get a little bit nervous. And I'll admit I haven't seen him play a lot.
Right.
But I get a little bit nervous with Diop.
All right, Javi, we're going to answer that here.
I think I understand what Javi is saying. However, what I would say is maybe the most impressive thing I've seen an LA Galaxy goalkeeper do all year was in the Portland game when we went up midweek and played them. And Diop came off his line and did like a sliding save in the air and knocked out a player at the same time.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. No, I mean, listen, here's the thing is you have to weigh it. You can't weigh Diop against Rowe right now because Rowe can't play. So you have to weigh it against Dan Kennedy, and I think that Diop is more athletic, is capable of making the bigger save. He also probably has maybe a little bit more of a downside, too, with the fact that he does get caught out of position, and I have watched him a lot this year with LA Galaxy, too. I still feel more comfortable right now, in my mind. I feel more comfortable with a guy who's been playing, who had a great game against OKC and is sort of riding that high there, because if Diop doesn't play for LA Galaxy 2, they lose that game. Easy, no problems. All right, so having said all that, I feel probably more comfortable with Diop there than Dan Kennedy, because Dan Kennedy, for me, I worry about his athleticism. And yes, he's been around the league for a while, and he certainly has the veteran presence, but he has never looked comfortable for the LA Galaxy for me, and that's my biggest scary point. And I think that if you're going and you need somebody who's athletic and you want somebody who can probably shoot and score, because at New York City's field at Yankee Stadium there, the goals are basically 10 yards apart from each other, so you're going to need somebody with a good foot in there to be able to shoot on. Josh Saunders and Diop are just going to kick the ball back and forth for most of the game. So that's my take. All right, Javi, anything else, buddy?
No, that's good, man.
Awesome, man. We appreciate the call. We'll talk to you soon.
That being said, I do think that Bruce Arena is going to start Dan Kennedy.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, I do.
I mean, he was the one who wanted Dan Kennedy here, and if you don't play Dan Kennedy, then I think that just basically means the end of Dan Kennedy.
Well, that's what we were talking about that off air.
Right.
We said that if you don't play Dan Kennedy, you've basically killed him. He's dead, because even if he comes in, he's what good is he? You've crushed any confidence he has. You've crushed any ability of him to think that he can come in and sort of make a difference, because we're saying, hey, Dan Kennedy, Guess what? We're glad that you were the backup for Brian Rowe, but you know that other guy, he's better than you too. So you're actually the number 3 keeper now that we're paying, a ton of money to. But you can't predict that stuff at the beginning. Brian Rowe was supposed to be a backup at the beginning of this year, and now he's the number 1 keeper, and he's probably top 5 in the league, as some former Major League Soccer goalkeepers have said, which I'm sure you watch. Joe Cannon. Who else was in that? Was that Matt Reese? Matt Reese wasn't even there because I was like, that won't work. Casey Keller was there.
Rubbing it in.
Yep.
Rubbing it in.
Calling him. They were staying top 3, and then they mentioned a whole bunch of other guys too. It was kind of fun, but he's there. He's at least in the conversation, and I'm fine with that. So, you say all that, and if you don't start Dan Kennedy, Wendy, then he's done, and he goes the way of Carlo Cudicini, and by
the way of the dodo.
Yeah, he goes by the way of Carlo. With Dodo and Carlo, probably pretty close. And he goes and works at Olive Garden for the rest of the season. That's sort of how I see that. So if you're going to do that with Dan Kennedy, you have to realize that if you do it, then he's done. That's it.
Unlimited breadsticks.
Unlimited breadsticks. Many visits to the salad bar as you want. All right. Let's see what else we have. We sort of went over MLS standings a little bit. New York City FC is first in the Eastern Conference, followed by Toronto and then the New York Red Bulls and the Philadelphia Union. In the Western Conference, it's still FC Dallas out in front of the Colorado Rapids. They lead them by 3 points, but it's Colorado who has the best points per game at 1.83. That is the best in the league by far. The LA Galaxy, 1.65 points per game in third place in the Western Conference. That points per game puts them ahead of anybody in the Eastern Conference as well, and puts them still third in the Western Conference. So as you were saying, Wendy, Western Conference is the bestest conference or something like that.
It has the most quality for sure.
FC Dallas leading in the Supporter Shield. That's really all you need to know. Colorado Rapids, New York City FC, LA Galaxy, and Toronto FC round out the top 5 for you there. All right, injuries. We've talked about it. Brian Rowe going to miss this game. Robbie Rogers still coming back. Training off to the side is September. I think September for Robbie Rogers to come back fully and actually be able to participate in games, which is still a little ways away, Wendy, and I don't know how much he's going to figure down the road because fitness and everything else. And with the LA Galaxy's defense playing so well with AJ De La Garza, do you really want to take AJ off the field? So many things.
No, you never want to take AJ off the field. You might want to take Daniel Stairs off the field, but never AJ De La Garza.
Never AJ De La Garza, which is, and I think people were arguing with me at the beginning of this year whenever I said that. I think the LA Galaxy's defensive success is a large part due to the fact that AJ De La Garza came back in this game, and that unfortunately Robbie Rogers got hurt in order for that to happen. We're going to take one more call. Let's see if we can get them on here. 661, who's this?
This is Raul from Australia.
Hey, Raul, how's it going, buddy?
Good. You guys still talking about the sunny side of things, or
benching? Yeah, whatever you want to talk about. We were just getting ready to do the New York City game, so if you got a minute here that you want to talk about whatever, we can do that.
I think going forward, we saw a good formation in that game last week with Colorado.
Right.
And Gerard did great because, honestly, we didn't have any Baggio or Lentowicz tandem in the middle.
Yes.
So I think that shows us going forward, that's more of attacking. We have more chances. Now we just got to worry about finishing.
Yeah, that is the big thing. That is a point, and I think it's anytime we say it, that whenever you put Baggio and Laurentowicz together, Wendy, it's not going to be good for your team. They're good. They're good with Nigel. Both of them are probably okay with Nigel DeJong. So if you pair Laurentowicz up with Nigel, that probably works pretty well for you. If you pair Baggio up with Nigel, it doesn't work as well, but it's pretty good. So I think that's what you're going to see. I think this New York City game, Raul, is going to be really interesting with a condensed field and the midfield that New York City plays, and what the LA Galaxy are able to do in terms of Nigel Young being able to reach out and touch almost any player at any time, which is kind of fun.
It's going to be hectic, probably. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be hectic, but because he's our best finisher. He's our best scorer.
Yeah,
even at this age.
He is, and that's sort of the thing. You have to, if you're going to hang your hat on Robbie Keane, then we have to see how it goes. All right, Raul, we're going to let you go, buddy.
Hey, thanks a lot, bud. Take care.
All right, thanks. All right.
Yeah, by the way, Steven Gerrard, 11 assists on the season, which is tied for second in MLS.
That's right. Yeah, second most in Major League Soccer. All right. We turn our attention now to the LA Galaxy traveling all the way across the country. In fact, they've already done it to play New York City FC at Yankee Stadium. This game will be a nationally televised game at 12:30 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. ESPN is your broadcast partner there, so please check them out at 12:30, and you can follow along with all the fun stuff that will be going on there. Here comes the fun stuff. This game usually would be hyped, Wendy, because it's Steven Gerrard facing off against Frank Lampard, and you add Ashley
and
Cole,
Lampard and Pirlo
and Cole,
and Pino, and all these big names.
Yeah, and so usually they go Lampard versus Gerrard, and
Right,
that's
hype machine.
And listen, you can do that if you want to, but you don't need to do that because, like I said, you have New York City FC, who is first in the Eastern Conference, is taking on a top 3 team, and you have one of the top. And by the way, New York City FC has is tied for first in total offense versus the LA Galaxy, who is second or first in defense. So between these things, you have good matchups here that might actually be interesting, and it's being played on the super itsy bitsy teeny tiny field at Yankee Stadium, and everybody always says the LA Galaxy are old and they don't like to run as much, and New York City is old and they probably don't like to run as much. So you put them on a small field and then you let them battle it out. This has some intriguing parts to it, Wendy.
Yeah, it basically means that there will be a lot of physical contact, which Nigel loves.
Yes,
and there'll be no width at all. So I'm guessing. I do like the lineup against Colorado, although when you're playing with someone like Emma, you're doing that primarily to get width. And since you're not going to get width in this game because you're on this teeny tiny little field.
Right.
And so then maybe you're not maybe more of a diamond midfield. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the Galaxy were actually training this week on the main field, Wendy, and they had cones inset of the white lines at StubHub Center on the main stadium field there. And then they had the goals inside of the goal lines where they would normally, because they were trying to get the size of the field, right?
Yeah,
And
it's going to be teeny tiny.
yeah, it is. And, people have told me it's not that teeny tiny. The LA Galaxy do play on one of the largest fields in Major League Soccer, by the way. It is wide
it's a
and
big,
it's long.
full-size field.
Yeah. So anytime you go anywhere else and they have a different field, even Portland, I think, is a little bit tinier. So you go into these different places, it affects how you play. And so this will, even the StubHub Track and Field Center is bigger and wider than the New York City field at Yankee Stadium, by the way, which again goes to show everything. But
you're right. It could be an interesting game. There's certainly no shortage of talent. I mean, even putting aside Gerrard and Lampard, David Villa, Andrea Pirlo. We have Nigel de Jong. We have Giovanni Dos Santos. There is ample opportunity for a display of skill in this game, owing to the fact that there's a lot of, I guess, marquee talent on the field.
World Cup field, as they're calling it. There are David Villa, Pirlo, Lampard, Gerrard, Cole, Robbie Keane, Giovanni Dos Santos, Nigel de Jong have all represented their teams at a World Cup, including, they don't even have Giassi Zardes on there. Good Lord.
Giassi Zardes hasn't played in the World Cup yet.
Oh, he hasn't played in the World Cup yet. Okay.
No,
so
he played in Copa America.
Yes,
don't get ahead of yourself.
I'm sorry.
World
I wanted
Cup
to
since
yell.
2018.
I wanted to yell. I wanted to yell and scream.
I'm not yelling at you.
No, I know you're not, but I wanted to yell because they already screwed up something. This is, of course, New York City put out the top 9 reasons why you should watch this game. And the 9th one was because Josh Saunders was a former LA Galaxy player, and it's absolutely true. And Josh Saunders helped the LA Galaxy win an MLS Cup in 2008.
And really?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, 2008 was my first year as a season ticket holder. I don't remember winning an MLS Cup.
Yeah, really. I didn't catch that.
In 2011 and 2012, Josh Saunders played on both of those teams that won MLS Cups. So anyway, I was sort of focused on that a little bit. So I wanted to yell at them for more stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do that. This is the very first trip ever to Yankee Stadium for the LA Galaxy. As I told you, they've been training on a smaller field, so that's fine. The LA Galaxy are on a 9-game unbeaten streak. New York City is on a record-tying 3-game home winning streak coming into this match. They've outscored their opponents 10-3. I told you they're a top offense in the league.
Yeah, they are scoring goals.
Yeah, they are. They're scoring a lot of goals.
And Frank Lampard, who all of us thought had died, has somehow resurrected himself, resuscitated his career, and is actually scoring goals for New York City FC. I did not know that.
Not only just scoring, he has 9 goals in his last 10 games, was named the MLS Player of the Month over Yellow Van Dam, which is a damn travesty. There you go. There's a good pun for all you people who like punny things. Frank Lampard leads all players with .93 goals per 90 minutes in Major League Soccer right now.
Well, when you only play 10 games.
I was going to say, what do you want from that?
It's a small sample size.
Frank, what do you want me to do with that, Frank? I don't know what you want me to tell you. But anyway, so that's good. Josh Saunders, we were talking about him, obviously former LA Galaxy player. It was pointed out that regular season games, Saunders played 56 regular season games for the LA Galaxy during his tenure with LA. Is now at 58 regular season games for New York City, so has actually played more regular season games than he did whenever he played against LA Galaxy, if that's something that you want to focus on. Let's see, I'm trying to find out. There was just so much good information that was out this week. I just wanted to tell everybody everything. Head coach Patrick Vieira,
Yeah, he's out.
He's out. He was suspended, or he was ejected after the game. He didn't get a red card. You can't give coaches red cards. He was asked to leave after the game, so he won't be seeing this game from the stands. So no Vieira, and then also their defender who started this game, Maxime Chanot, suspended for Saturday for a red card that he got after the 3-3 draw with Columbus. I should mention that 3-3 draw because David Villa got a brace. Frank Lampard scored a goal. They should have won that game. They gave up a goal in the dying minutes to Columbus.
Big Red is also out, by the way.
No, he's not. He's back in. That was
Jeff Larenkowicz. He got suspended, didn't he?
He got suspended for the last game versus Colorado. He's back in now.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too. Don't look at the suspension list. It's always like a week behind. They
right.
do a really good job on that stuff. So Laurentowicz should return. De Jong should be in there. I mean, you're looking for a lineup that has all of the 18 players. Robbie Keane
except for Robbie Keane.
No, he'll be back. He says that.
Is he going to play with an orbital fracture?
Yes. They said he's very likely to be that he's very likely to play. That was something from Bruce Arena. Yella Van Dam said that he can't wait to face Villa. He says, and this was talking to LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano. He says, you want to challenge them, you want to show yourself, improve yourself, and we also want to win that game. We have to be concentrated when New York City FC have the ball. They have their strengths and weaknesses, though, like any team. I think that you have to respect them until a certain point, but then it's just a soccer game. So he's looking forward to facing that whole lineup of New York City FC and doing that. So Yella is fired up. Did you see his Instagram post, by the way?
I love him. He is just maybe one of my favorite people right now. He is so spirited.
He's spirited and he's determined.
He's got a really quirky sense of humor too. I will say, a lot of people like, Belgians, they have a really peculiar sense of humor over there, and he has a quirky ass sense of humor.
He may be my only Belgian person I've ever probably met. No, there may be one or two, but I don't know a ton of Belgians. But yeah, he's a little quirky, that guy. So I'll give you that. And he's determined to bring the LA Galaxy a 6th cup. That was sort of his Instagram post. Yeah, he's one of those guys who just sort of falls in line with like, I want to win a cup for this city because I love this city and I love the team. He's one of those guys that just does it so easily. That falls into
he's got a really good spirit, I would say. He's got a lot of team spirit and is very jovial. And he plays around with all his teammates. He's always cracking jokes with them, and I think that that's good for fostering a positive locker room.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. We talked about so many names on here. You have McNamara, you have Villa, you have Tony Taylor. That might be a switch out, by the way. Tony Taylor played this game in place of, and let's see if I can get it, for Jack Harrison, who has been playing really well for New York City FC. Harrison came in the second half. I don't know if you see that reversed versus the LA Galaxy, so you can sort of keep an eye on that. You got Pirlo, you got Lampard, let's see, Saunders in goal. I mean, they give up goals. That's New York City's Achilles heel there, is that they give up goals. And so the LA Galaxy can score goals. Let's see if the number 1 or number 2 defense can shut down New York City FC and, find a road win. They don't have to run that much. The field's not that long. So this should be fun to see. Again, the game is at 12:30 Pacific time on ESPN. The LA Galaxy flying all the way over to New York City FC to play at Yankee Stadium, which should be a spectacle nonetheless.
Should be fun. I mean, for any neutrals out there, if you want to see star power, this is the game to see.
Absolutely. It should be. All right, Wendy, do you have a prediction for this game before we get on out of here?
I am going to predict a Galaxy tie because we seem to tie every single game. I'm going to predict a 2-2 tie.
Oh man, I was going to say always pick a draw with the LA Galaxy right now. That always seems to be the correct answer. I will say the LA Galaxy pull off a miraculous win, get their everything back on. They win 2-1 over New York City FC. They shut down all the big stars. This game could also end 6-5 or 7-6 or 7-7.
We're not scoring that many goals.
Or 10-10. You don't know that. It's a small field. If Diop starts, he could start putting them in from the back. I'm telling you, that's an absolute possibility. All right, Wendy, tell people where they can find you. We'll get on out of here.
You can find me at American Soccer Now and at cornerofthegalaxy.com and on Twitter at BardsBlog.
All right. If you're looking for me on Twitter at JGuesman, JGUESMAN at Galaxy Podcast, head over to our shop, cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop for all of our damn buttons. We'd certainly appreciate you helping us out there as we try to keep this thing rolling, having some fun. LA Galaxy face off against New York City FC. Should be a great game. A game on Chicago midweek next, so you can look for a preview of that coming up next Monday on the podcast as well. All right. For Miss Wendy Thomas, I'm Josh Guesman, and you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.